Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, let me just go ahead and show you what we're going to be using, and then we'll talk about what it is we're going to be making. I am going to be using the Sweet Surprise stamps and the matching dies by Trinity Stamps. There was an overwhelming response to people wanting me to use these cupcakes, and along with these sprinkles, these are by Trinity as well. That's the Slumber Party and the Carousel Cupcake sprinkles. And then I'm also going to be using some white and black paper along with a bunch of aqua pigments. And this is the Neon Aqua Pigments by Brutus Monroe. And all the colors there along with an orange that I'm not showing you right at this moment. All right, so let's stamp. I'm going to end up stamping 4 panels. These first 2 pieces are going to be using Express It cardstock because I am going to be doing some Copic coloring on the first 2 pieces. So I'm going to ink up my cupcake with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. That is my favorite ink for Copic coloring. And so I'm going to stamp that down a couple of times just to make sure that I have a good crisp image, and that's where the Misti comes in super handy. But the Misti would also be really handy, or is very handy, for what I'm going to be doing because I'm also planning to stamp on the a couple of other pieces. This next piece, this is a piece of Bristol Smooth. So I'm going to stamp that on there, and I don't care if it's a good stamp or not. And then I'm also going to be stamping on this panel that I've already kind of inked up. Well, not kind of, I did. And you're not going to be able to see it a whole lot, but it's basically just a guide. So these last 2 stamps were just a guide. All right, I'm going to take those guide pieces. This is that Bristol Smooth piece, not the 2 Express It pieces, and I'm going to splatter all over it just like I did that black piece of cardstock that you saw. That black cardstock is Raven cardstock by Brutus Monroe, and again, this is Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm going to be grabbing the aqua pigments in each of the different colors. This is the blue neon, and I'm just going to splatter, splatter, splatter all over that background. Next, I will grab the green and do the exact same thing. I just fell in love with that panel that I had made previously. It was in my stash of backgrounds. I know we all have those where we're like, oh, I don't know what to do with this just yet, but I made it and it's fun and I'm not going to get rid of it. So you just kind of hang on to it. Well, then I thought, well, let's do this on white and see if we can get 2 different kind of looks here. So that next color was red, then we're bringing in some pink, and then we're going to bring in the yellow, and again, splatter, splatter, splatter. And then I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in the orange. Originally I was like, okay, that's plenty of colors, but then I thought, no, it's really missing something, and that orange is just the pop it needed. So I brought that in as well. So that's all the aqua pigments in the neon colors that Brutus Monroe has. And they are absolutely gorgeous. My favorite thing to do with them is to splatter. All right, so here are the Express It cardstock pieces, and these are the ones I'm going to Copic color. This first color is Y00. I'll show you here in a second. I'm going to make the cupcake on both of them almost look like a lemon cupcake. I was trying to go with the neon colors, but that's hard to do. At least I was having a hard time doing it with my Copic colors. But that's Y00 and Y06. And then we're going to color our frosting. So for the frosting, I'm going to use YG00 and YG03. And I'm just doing it mostly on the edges, kind of thinking where my darker shades might be. I'm going to leave a ton of white space because we're making shakers. And these parts are just going to be kind of in the background. I mean, I want them to be there, but I'm going to be putting sprinkles on the top of them, and I want those to really shine. So I'm going to leave the green to have a lot of a lot of white space. And then our blues are going to be BG01 and BG05. We're going to do the same thing, starting off with our BG01 and doing a lot of flicking motions. That way it will be lighter towards the center. And then I'll come back in with that BG01 and lighten up that BG05. And I decide that it's still a little bit dark for the blue and that white. So I'm going to bring in a BG000. And I'm just going to, I mean, you can barely see it. You can tell in person, but it's definitely there if you looked at the cupcake. And then for our cupcake liners, we're going to use RV02 and RV04 for both of them. So these cupcakes were supposed to be sort of neon. I know that light pink obviously is not that neon. The RV04 is a bit more neon, but we definitely needed some highlights. So that's where the RV02 comes in. And then we're going to leave it at that. These pieces are going to go behind because now we're going to go ahead and start doing our stamping for our sentiments. So I'll set those off to the side. And I wanted the Let's and the Celebrate to be different colors, so I'm starting off with my Distress Oxide color Mermaid Lagoon, and then I'm going to grab some Heavy Doodle tape and just mask off the Let's. So I'll mask that off, stamp down Celebrate. Then I'm going to clean off my stamp really, really well with some of the Brutus Monroe Squeaky Clean, and this one is in peppermint scented. I love how they typically, depending on the season, will have different scented cleaners, and these cleaners are great not only for your stamps, but I use them to clean off my glass mat and just around my desk. I love this stuff. It's fantastic. And then your room smells nice too. So I inked the Let's up with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. It's a great black ink. It's very nice and dark. And as you can tell, I did do other stamping. I didn't show it because I'm not going to use it. But I do want to have a background piece that's going to kind of match that neon red. So I'm grabbing my 1/2 inch flat brush and I'm going to layer that up. And in between layers, I will heat it so that it's heat set. And then when that is heat set, I will bring in some more of that color. The whole point was I wanted that to match, and I'm going to use the Sweet die cut over the top of that. And I'm going to use the outline of Sweet for that. And then I also did have to, on my white panel, I had to heat set that quite a bit because that was definitely not drying. All right, here's the guide piece. This is where the die cut of the cupcake comes in. I'm going to cut that out. So I'm lining that up on top of that piece, and then I'm going to line up the Let's Celebrate die as well. We're just going to tack that down with some washi tape, and then I'm going to put the outline of Sweet on that one piece. And I'm sorry you missed the part where I actually took a piece of white cardstock and put it through my sticker maker. But I did do that so that these two little Sweet words would be sticker backed. That way they're just easier to put together. And then I ran that through my die cutting machine. I'm going to peel off the release paper on that first word of Sweet, and then I'll just put that down on top of the other one. I wanted it to be layered up twice. And then I will peel off the release paper on that one as well. I had to use my paper piercer for that one. It's a little more difficult. And then I'll tack that down to that red neon aqua pigment piece that I had painted, and it'll match perfectly. So here's some transparency film. We're going to need 4 pieces of this. I'm going to cut them about the same. So they're going to be about 4 inches by 4 inches basically. And you need 4 because I'll show you a trick here. I've showed it before. So here's where our first piece is going to go for each of them. We're just going to put a little bit of glue on that one or on the back side and stick down our transparency. You could use liquid glue if you don't get too close to the edge. You could also use score tape. That would be fine too. Liquid glue was handy and it was fine, and it really didn't bother me because I wasn't going to get to doing anything with it just yet. I just wanted to set these off to the side to dry. There's my second piece, and then pieces 3 and 4 will come in later. Now for our shaker element, or our part, not element, but the part that's going to help it shake, we're going to take some of our Scotch foam tape and we're going to double that up because we want our elements, our shaker elements, to be able to really shake around. So I've doubled that up. And then I'm going to trim down the pieces that I need, and I'm going to cover the entire back of both of those pieces. I'm going to take off all the release paper because you want to do that first before you put any of your shaker elements in, because otherwise if you try to do it afterwards you could end up with a mess and all your pieces sticking to your double-sided tape. I've put in some of those Carousel Cupcake sprinkles, and now I'm going to put a few of those actually on our cupcake because I want a few of them to just look like they're on the cupcake itself so that when you shake it, those will always stay. So I've taken a few and I'm just going to place those down, and I used my Ranger Multimedia Matte adhesive. This was just real easy because it also has a very fine line and it'll dry matte. And then I'll just take a couple different sprinkles and stick those down, and I do it for the other cupcake as well. And now we're going to put in a few of those Slumber Party sequins. And then here's where our third and fourth piece of acetate come in. I just stick those right on top. It works out perfectly. So stick that down, and then you don't have to worry about your shaker bits coming out. And look at that. So now we're going to go ahead and adhere this, and don't worry that those sprinkles are on there. It doesn't make any difference. We're just going to go ahead and adhere that right over the top of our cupcake. And voila, you have a cupcake that's receded and you have a sprinkle shaker right on top of it. So we'll do the same thing with the other one. And those are good to go. And I just love, love, love how these are turning out. Our next part will be to restamp the 1 sentiment. So I'm going to put that on some black cardstock. It just really needed to pop. And so I've got some Raven cardstock in my Misti. I'm going to use my magic powder bag over the top and then sweep away the excess with my Nuvo brush. I'll ink up my sentiment with some Versamark ink and stamp that down. And then I'm going to cover that with some Alabaster embossing powder by Brutus Monroe, my favorite white embossing powder. And then I'm going to heat set that till that is smooth and melted. And you'll be able to tell because it'll go from a matte finish to a shiny. And then I'll put all my elements away, or all my stuff away, and then I'll get ready to use my die cut. So I love that little banner die cut. It doesn't cut out the sweet word very well, obviously, and that's fine because I plan to cover it up anyway, but that's how it looks. And that's going to look really, really nice on top of the white card, shaker card base that I have. So we're going to use a little liquid glue to adhere down our banner right over the bottom part there. And then we'll take our sweet word and we'll put it right over the top of the other sweet. And I love how that looks and everything matches. So the insides of our card are just some white cardstock. I'm going to stamp down for both of them. They're both going to be the same. It's a day for cake with extra sprinkles, and I use the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink for both of those. And then we're going to actually add some sprinkles. So the first color I've started off with is some Mermaid Lagoon, just putting a couple sprinkles down. The next one is some squeezed lemonade. And then we're going to bring in some carved pumpkin. And then we'll bring in some twisted citron. And then our final color will be some picked raspberry. And then after that, we will go ahead and adhere our card fronts to our card bases, just using some of that Nuvo Deluxe liquid glue. And then when that is done, these cards will be done. I'm so happy I was able to use up one of the panels that I just had in my stash. It's always fun when you can do that. And you got to hear the shaker, right? But these are great. I had so much fun making these. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I always appreciate all the love and support that you guys leave. You guys are incredible. From the liking to the subscribing to the leaving comments, and all of you who use my affiliate links, big ol' thanks, because that definitely helps keep this channel going. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye.